Welcome to another Kings of War battle report. Northern Alliance versus the Kingdoms of Men. 2150 points. The scenario was control. Okay, I took a different Kingdoms of Men army, but very similar to the one I've been running, so I don't really change the way I play. So I took 4 regiments of pikes, 3 troops of fanatics, 2 regiments of knights, 1 with the potion of the caterpillar, 2 hordes of foot guard, both with indomitable will, and ASB with the loot. The captain, a hero on a Pegasus with indomitable will, a hero on a horse with indomitable will, for 15 drops and 30 unit strength. That was a lot of unit strength. That's probably the most I've played with in a long time, even using my Ratkin. So quite the bit of a horde army, I would guess, and really it played pretty well. So before I went to play Craig, I gave him a text and said, are we playing melt your face off armies, or are we playing friendly armies? And in the past, Craig and I have always played very friendly armies with each other. So it's just been recently because of our tournament that, we've kind of went to the full bore, I call it melt your face off mode. So this army was, I'd taken my Sam Nordberg list and took all the flyers out of it except for 1 Pegasus, and I thought maybe that would, making it not, all the flyers would have probably made this game not a lot of fun. And the way it worked out is that, basically we were just fighting just tons of it. It could almost have been a historical battle, honestly, just the way that the thing played out, except for 1 Pegasus. And now that I look at it, I could have probably taken him off and put a hero, or a general on a horse or something there, to kind of take that role anyway. So, like I said, it kind of worked out more like a historical battle than it worked out to be like a fantasy battle, because Northern Alliance and Kingdoms of Men are very similar in a lot of ways. So what I did is, you can see my deployment here. The Pegasus is here on the far end, and I deployed him fairly early out there. I knew he wasn't going to do anything. He's only got 3 swings, but I just wanted to see if I could get and grab a hero or something, or do something like that, and or just use him later to score since we're playing control. And initially, I only had 1 unit of knights deployed down here on this flank, but then I rolled I finally remembered the stupid captain's ability and redeployed 2 units. So I redeployed I rolled a 3. So I redeployed a unit of knights. I redeployed the captain himself, and I took I had a regular hero on a horse by himself, and I just went and deployed him to the far end to kind of act as chaff to slow down all those housecarls down there. So Craig's deployment started out with a unit of naiads down here on this end of the table. They are really going to be hard to shift. That's a huge piece of swamp there, and if I charge them with my knights, yeah, -2 to hit, not good. Then a unit of clansmen. And I think the really white units are all housecarls, because I don't think they're all painted yet. But I don't know. I think that's what they are. I can't remember. But I think it's just a checkerboard of housecarls and clansmen all the way down. And then the very end are 2 sets of housecarls. And the other white things you see are snow foxes that are deployed behind the troops instead of in front to start out, which is fine. It's kind of interesting to see that sometimes when they just move through them on the next turn and get back in front. So anyway, I really am shocked at how big my army is as far as the 15 drops and 30 unit strength. That it just looks huge on the table. So anyway, I think I have an advantage just by the fact that my line is kind of extended past the end of his line. And since we're comparable in speed, I think that'll give me an advantage during the game. So with no real shooting threat, and I'm going to say something, that Craig's been playing Sean a lot lately. I know he's been using his Northern Alliance. Well, he's also been using his elves. And my gamble this game was that I took knights, and usually I don't because of the phalanx stuff. But this game I gambled on knights, and it turned out to be a good gamble because there's really nothing that could phalanx me in this game and stop me. So in other words, I had to fight the knights straight up, which is anymore in Kings of War is not something that's guaranteed every game. But despite the fact that my knights and stuff are fast, that the proximity of that swamp met my line kind of angle back to the right instead of stay directly on line. The Pegasus went ahead and moved up its max 20 and made a nimble turn to threaten the flank of the Naiads. I mean, it's not much of a threat, but hey, nobody likes getting charged in the flank. That the captain and his 2 units of knights moved forward to threaten his army as soon as he moved forward. The kind of interesting thing about the captain and the knights is the captain has rally 1. It actually gives the knights a fairly good morale. I never really thought about using the captain with knights. I really always think of him using him with a line of pikemen or something like that, or a foot guard. But my foot guard moved up to support the knights, and then, as usual, per the SAM list, all those pikemen and fanatics moved up as fast as they could to try to get in his face. And then over on the far left, I had another unit of foot guard over there. I contemplated putting them all together, but decided that hammers on both flanks is probably a better idea than just loading one flank in this case. So that was why I deployed the way I did. So this game is going to go really fast. There is hardly any magic. There is no shooting, essentially, except maybe Craig's throwing axes on one of his guys. So this game is going to move quick. I mean, it's just going to be just rapid fire, grinding melees, and which is fun. So anyway, Craig moves forward. His dogs did pop through all the units. He's got 4 units of foxes there. Now, just to give you a key into my strategy, a lot of times I realize I'm not going to bust those foxes if I charge them with some chaff unit. But the point is that by charging them, I trap all of his good stuff behind him. They're just too close by coming out behind that way. They're not, they hurt the army sometimes, in this case, more than they help it. But it does keep me from just charging straight in, obviously, and that makes a difference. But it's kind of one of those things: which one do you do first? Do you put those guys in the front and move them out to do that, or do you do like Craig did and hit them? So I guess it's just a gamble on which way you do it. The Naiads did turn toward the Pegasus, just because, I mean, who wants 6 attacks in their flank, even if they're not that great. Everything else just kind of moved forward. The Housecarls was setting up here on the right side. We're setting up a trap for whichever unit of knights charged in. And yeah, those guys would have absolutely killed whatever they charged. They are tough units. So one of my favorite things to do with chaff, and just kind of discovered it early on, was to jam them, which means just send something out there, and yeah, whatever I lose, loses too. But whoever wins the chaff war sometimes wins the game. And in this case, I charged the lone hero out into the snow foxes. I did 3 hits and 3 wounds, which I was pumped about. Then rolled snake eyes. Yeah, that was it. So then the next group, I rolled not so well with those fanatics, and I really thought, that no matter what, they would be gone. And no, I think I rolled a 3 or a 4, and so they're stuck along with it. And it just kept rolling, because I just laughed because I rolled a 2 to deploy first, and then a 1 to roll first. And I said, oh, now I just need the trifecta of a snake eyes. And like the first fight, I get snake eyes. So anyway, so then the other unit of fanatics hits that unit of snow foxes there. So yeah, I mean, there is absolutely no way these snow foxes should have lived through the onslaught of my fanatics going forward. But I'm pretty sure I rolled another set of snake eyes down here. I think it's on the ones in front of the Housecarls, but I'll look at the picture and see. But you can see my strategy was to jam them up so that those guys couldn't keep moving forward. If they wanted to turn sideways to flank charge into the fanatics, then I would be able to, of course, countercharge them. So yeah, out of 4 charges, I managed to kill 1 unit of snow foxes, and this is with a lot of attacks. So I just could not believe it. But I guess that by the fact that I didn't die, it did still serve my purpose of jamming up his army. So over here on the left, the Housecarls did manage to. I think the foxes backed up through. They were right behind the Housecarls, were right behind them, backed up through the Housecarls, and the Housecarls charged into the hero on a horse and killed him, leaving him open for a charge from the Viertütigen Guard, also known as Foot Guard. The Foxes in fighting the other fanatics, he couldn't figure out a way to get him around there, so they held up. That held up. He charged Orlok the Barbarian, or whatever his name is, who has some ability to double his swings. Well, he rolls up and does 4 wounds, against those at a snare unit, which is pretty good, and frickin' wavers them. I don't know for what he rolled an 11 or something stupid. I mean, not 11, like a 10, and wavered him no first go. Well, then the unit right next to him, the Klansmen, I mean, they rolled pretty well. They did 4 or 5 wounds and wavered the other unit of pikemen. I was like, good grief, my dice were horrible, and his were doing pretty well. So where the bad thing happened was his housecarls there that are fighting my fanatics. I believe he rolled Snake Eyes, and that really boffed up his army, because he should have blown right through those fanatics and then right in, would have come right on into the pikemen and probably destroyed them fairly quickly too. But I'm pretty sure, I think I even commented after the game that was one of the key dice rolls of the whole game, despite all of the weird ones that were going on. That one incident, really kind of screwed up his plans, I feel. So over on this flank, the housecarls double and the Foxes double charged the unit of fanatics where I'd rolled the Snake Eyes on and easily destroyed them. And then the housecarls backed up into the lines there, but neither unit. I mean, I thought he was trying to really move that unit of Foxes forward. They rolled a 1 to move forward. Then he was trying to get the other guys back, and they rolled a 1 to move back. So they were kind of stuck. I'd taken some damage on that unit of pikemen, but I think it's from those stupid throwing axes from one of the heroes, which is weird. But now all the chaff's out of the way on this end, and it's time for the men to come forward and fight. So I fully admit here that I kind of screwed up some stuff. Because of the order of charges, my foot guard could not charge his housecarls, which it looked like I could, and I could have if I would have not charged the Klansmen. But I thought I could fit them both in, and I couldn't. So I ended up double charging the Snow Foxes with the foot guard and the pikemen, which is going to be a one-sided battle, obviously. And because of that, too, now I've jammed up these knights. But the knights that charged his Klansmen were the ones that had the potion of the caterpillar. So that was why that I didn't charge with this left unit of knights. I decided just to keep them reserved and see what happens, because when the housecarls are around, you never know, how much damage those suckers are going to do. And because of that, of the mistake, I went ahead and charged the captain into the naiads, knowing I wouldn't do it. I think I did 1-1, which was actually a lot higher than I expected. And then I went ahead and charged I was thinking about putting the Pegasus into the naiads, but then I decided to put him into the Klansmen, just because, that's 6 swings hitting on 3s and with 4s to wound. I'll take it. On top of the 16 swings, for 3s and 3s, which should leave a mark on those Klansmen. So anyway, that was the plan here this turn, and like I said, I kind of messed it up here because I really hoped to take out the housecarls before they could charge me, because they do brutal amounts of damage. Over here, the feared Tüdingen Guard charges into the unit of housecarls. I really think about it after that, that this, except for the pikemen, this my Empire army here would really make a pretty good Northern Alliance army with all the white wolf-looking knights. Probably make a better Berenger army than it would that, because of the I have some hunting hounds and stuff from my old Middenheim army back in the day. So and all these Tüdingen Guards and old Ulrich guys that I have. So that probably would make a Berenger army actually pretty well. So anyway, the Tüdingen Guard charged into the housecarls, and I'm pretty sure they busted them in one fight. And then the couldn't do anything with the pikemen because they were wavered, and then the other pikemen couldn't do anything because they were wavered. The snake-eyed fanatics managed to waver the housecarls, which was a really, that was like I said, I really think that was a big switch in the game, was that one dice roll, even as weird as my dice rolls were. But fact that now I had that unit of housecarls where they couldn't swing at me on the next turn was going to be fantastic. So predictably, the my elite great sword / foot guard easily stomped through those foxes, and the pikeman. We moved forward as far as we could. I had to continue my idea of jamming his army. He's a little mobility challenged. I did significant damage to the clansmen. I think 9 or 10, which was, like I said, significant. Not enough to waver them or anything. I managed to do a wound to the naiads, but more importantly, it kept them from, since my hero's mighty, it kept them from charging into the flank of my knights on the next turn. And now still looking good here, because on top of that, I still have a unit of knights in reserve just in case I need them. Wasn't really the plan at the time, but in retrospect, it was actually a good plan that just accidentally happened. So over here, the foot guard did what foot guard should do and wasted that troop of housecarls. Housecarls hit almost like a horde as far as hard. Because of hitting on 3s and with crushing 2, they really lay out the damage. But on the other hand, when you charge them, they are still a troop. So that really was big. My fanatics killed his snow foxes, and now I was basically going to get slaughtered by housecarls. So I did the best I could there. So the one piece of chaff on the entire board, Craig gives a move up and puts himself between me, my foot guard, and the flank of his housecarls, which was a dandy move. And the other clansmen here charge into the pikemen. Orloff the Barbarian, or whatever his name is, charges back into the pikemen. His housecarls there that are fighting I have 9 wounds on my fanatics, but since he rolled snake eyes, I wasn't going to have any more wounds this turn, thank goodness, or I would have been really in trouble on this flank over here if those guys would have punched through. So over here, Craig decided to countercharge the Pegasus and not countercharge the Knights, which I felt was a mistake. In retrospect, I'm pretty sure it was a mistake. The housecarls then charged into the front of my foot guard, since I had kind of screwed that up, and then the clansmen charged into my pikemen. Of course, the naiads countercharged back into the captain. I was going to have trouble hurting him, but I think they still did 2 wounds to him, despite the fact that they were going to have trouble hurting him. Yeah, the housecarls charged into my foot guard and did 8 wounds, which was really good. Like so I said, they kind of hit like a horde, where they, even though they're a troop, and that's huge. So better get rid of those guys pretty quick, because a second round of that could put me into the zone of not goodness. So yeah, of course the Pegasus died. I think he did a wound with me with the stupid axes again. He did like 1 wound to 2 units with those things during the game. But now the Knights are going to be able to charge again and hopefully get rid of that unit of clansmen over there. And I think this turn, since the Knights get out of the way, I think I could charge the other units of Knights in and try to get rid of that unit of Naiads. So yeah, my beautiful unit of pikemen was killed by an unpainted Reaper vinyl model. I was not happy about that, but Orlock the Barbarian, or whatever his name is, killed him. The unit of clansmen also killed the unit of pikemen in front of them. And you can see now where I'm kind of in the staring position. I'm going to have to do something with the hounds up there before I have to deal with those housecarls. So anyway, this flank, I've got 1 strong unit over there, but the rest of them are kind of bending toward the middle really, really poorly at this point. So the foot guard charging to the flank of that unit of foxes. The pikemen, I really had no choice. I had to charge the unit of clansmen, but I did like a respectable 5 or 6 wounds. It was amazing, for a unit that's, sometimes they surprise you. I really don't expect them to do anything, but in this case, they did, like I said, a pretty respectable amount of wounds to that unit of clansmen. And then the fanatics, I'm pretty sure, chop up the housecarls unit that rolled a snake eyes against them this turn, which is going to have a profound effect on the game, because that leaves Craig with a hole in his line so that I could get behind, which is exactly what I was trying to prevent him from doing to me. So over here on the right, the glorious charge of my White Wolf Knights. 1 unit, I'm going to be hindered and hitting on 5s, coming through the swamp into his naiads along. But the captain is there, going ahead and fighting. The other unit of knights went ahead and charged it to try to finish off that unit of clansmen. The unit of foot guard went ahead and charged into the housecarls, hopefully getting rid of them this turn. The pikemen back into the clansmen. The clansmen had them up to 8, but I think he rolled really poorly on his break test. But you can see my ASB is standing there. And of course the fanatics back into the wounded unit of housecarls. Sorry for the little blurry picture. The foot guard easily busted the unit of housecarls. This time, though, I think I'd got Banechan on them, so that really made it a lot easier. And then the knights busted the unit of clansmen. I was having trouble with the naiads for some reason. Well, I know why, because they have been snared. But anyway, so the naiads lived to fight another day. But Craig's flank over here, his own left flank was in shambles. So now I was getting to move into hopefully the exploitation phase with my faster knights over there. The fanatics went ahead and killed off that unit of housecarls, and I just went ahead and turned my back to that other unit because the pikemen were there engaged. I should have slid them over. Kind of teeter-tottering on that hill, and that's probably why I didn't. But you can see now the threat posed by that unit of foot guard who's turned to the right to fight those after winning their fight with the housecarls. And you, like I said, you can see here the pikemen there, hope if they can hold this turn, since they have no wounds, should be able to hold, and then let the, and my plan was, of course, the fanatics to charge into their flank. So I had some blurry pictures in between, so I chose not to put them. I'll just tell you what happened. Well, the naiads died on my next turn. The knights backed up, trying to get back into this bottom table section as we're playing control. His hero swings into my foot guard, does one damn wound, and rolls a waver. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm only at 9 wounds. And he rolled boxcars, I think. Well, maybe he didn't need boxcars. But, because he had dread. The dread is what got it for him. That 1 point gave him a waver on my unit. And I really thought I'd blow through them and then blow through him and then maybe blow into those guys. But that wasn't going to happen now because of wavering in that situation. So looking grim because, like I say, there's no flank over here at all left on that side. And a point I totally forgot by this point is I made a point early in the game to tell Craig that I had Indomitable Will on my foot guard. And, of course, I totally forgot about it and didn't use it. I'm like, are you an idiot? I need to put like a marker that says Indomitable Will on the back of them. Just a little chit or something just to remind me that they have it and just to take it away when they use it up. So over on this flank, I managed to kill the housecarls with the foot guard. I think he charged into me. Then my return swacks killed him. The combination of the pikemen and the fanatics were too much for that other unit of clansmen, and they went down. So we just decided to call the game here because I had so much unit strength still on the table. I mean, just that glance right there, that's 4, 8, that's 9 right there. That's a significant amount of unit strength, not counting what I had on the other side of the table. So we just called the game at the bottom of turn 5. There was really no point in playing it out, just to roll dice. So we called it, and good game. Game was over. So I just want to point out that Kings of War is a really fun game, especially if you both have kind of an understanding that you're not going to melt each other's face off. And that's kind of what we did this game because we were really playing mostly infantry against infantry. I did have a couple of units of knights, but what I'd done with this list is I had actually taken my Sam Nordberg list that I've been doing so well with. I don't know, I think I'm up to 6 games in a row or something that I've won, so it really worked out well. And so what I did was I said, they're already out in my box to take, and I was like, daggone it, I don't want to pull out another army, and attack them. So what I did, though, was I took all the Griffins out of there, or the Generals on Winged Beast, because I normally play with 3, and replaced them with just 2 units of knights, and then the captain. And the captain, I needed him back in the list, because usually the other list does not suffer from a lack of inspiring. But if you take away those 3 generals, all of a sudden it does. And so I needed a multi-use figure, and so the captain was the one that filled the role. And then I thought about the synergy of the captain with the knights in the fact that he will get their morale up to 15, 18, which means lets them grind just a little bit, and so I really thought that was a good different choice there for the Army. But the main core of the Army, the 4 units, the 4 regiments of pikes, the 3 units of fanatics, and the 2 units of foot guard, they pretty much, those are staying the same. And I really think that's a solid core of basically any army of Kingdoms of Men. I'm not saying that it's the perfect core, but I guess I'm so used to using it now. I mean, just the way I play it, it feels like it's almost automatic. And really like how that played. And I think the Knights did well this game. I mean, except for me jamming them up and not really moving them the right way a couple of times. But it's been a while since I've used them. But I really thought the Knights were okay. Now, with the Griffins, the Generals on Wing Beast been better. Well, obviously, because, Craig's army didn't have much defense against flyers, and I kind of knew that. That's why I only brought the one flyer. In retrospect, I didn't have to bring him. I could have just made him another captain on foot. But the thing is I like about the Pegasus is it's so cheap, and if I'm playing a scenario, it's 1 unit strength. Even if I do nothing with him, he's got 1 unit strength. And so that's why that I take him. It was like not because I wanted to be cheesy with a flyer. It's just because he's just so versatile. Hunts a character, maybe helps out with a flank charge, seizes a table section. That's all good stuff, and for the amount of points, and just act as chaff if he needs to. So really worth the points for that guy, And I give him Indomitable Will in case the other guy's shooting and manages to waver him. So that makes him a little more resolute. So, if he just gets nicked by some little chaff unit and happens to get wavered, at least he can undo that and move on. So really cool model. As far as Craig's army, I've kind of, the Housecarls are really impressive. Now, and they're not people that, glasshammer. They're not glasshammers. I mean, they got armor 5. So if you can't bop them back with something that's equally hitty, they will eat you up. I mean, like I said, they do the damage of a horde every time they hit you, because it's not so much the number. It's a lot of swings, but the fact is they make them stick with that crushing too. So that makes them really, really good. And he had 4 troops of the stupid things. And I had mucho respect for those Housecarls throughout the game. What I thought maybe could have been better, I think if he had one of those generals, I forgot what they're called, but they're on the mounted general that has so many swings. I think that guy would help that list a lot, just to give him something fast to go to give some relief in melee, just to add that one more thing to it to take them over the top. And I'm sure I could look it up here in a second, but I don't feel like it. But so I'd say that might be the only thing I would change in the list at all. He had the special. He had, I think, 2 special characters, Orlok, and then there's another one that goes with the Northern Alliance. He had that one as well. But the barbarian guy, good God, he just blew right through my damn. He killed a whole unit of pikes by himself, which is very impressive. I mean, I don't know what his points value are, but. I really thought I was going to, I thought, well, what's one character against a whole regiment? Well, we found out he just blew right through the sucker. That guy that was definitely a surprise. I think he's from the Harpy's Rift thing. I don't think he's standard, but out of the regular book. But I was impressed by that guy. Like I say, it shocked me that I lost that unit. I thought, well, once he does his little good whack, then after that he'll be stuck there fighting, ensnared pikemen forever. But that was not the case at all, and he managed to kill him. But anyway, it was just like I said, it was almost like a historical game just in there. And I feel bad that I took advantage, because I kind of knew that Craig probably didn't have any phalanx in there, because he's been playing elves, and that army is eat up with phalanx, and would just have brutalized this poor army, I'm afraid. So anyway, good game, Craig. I can't wait to play again. I really liked the depowering of the army quite a bit, not to have all the flyers and stuff in there. The ironic thing is, once I depowered the army, then I realized I had 30 freaking unit strength. I haven't used 30 unit strength in a long time. Usually it's with Ratkin. But the thing is those regiments of pikemen have unit strength 3, and so that they are heavy duty as far as unit strength in that list. And then with everything else. I mean, Kingdoms of Men is really an army that you can win the unit strength scenario games with, and I think that people overlook them just sometimes, but they really are and can be a very strong army. So, well, until next time, I hope you enjoyed the battle report, and have a good day.